Gentlemen, we're getting ready to get started. Okay. I call the Patton Township Board of Supervisors meeting on May 22nd, 2024 at 5:30 to order. We welcome all new Patton Township residents to the Patton Township community, a place for all. As you are able, please join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on the agenda are announcements. Are there any announcements at this time?
There are not.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the additions to the posted agenda. Are there any additional items to be considered for this agenda at this time?
There are not.
All right. Public comments. Residents, taxpayers may address the board on issues of interest to the township. Comments related to a specific agenda items should be deferred until that point in the meeting. If you are attending by Zoom, please use the raise hand feature in the Zoom application and wait for the chair to indicate that it is your opportunity to speak. If you are attending in person, please approach the podium and wait for the chair to indicate it is your opportunity to speak. Our public comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. Are there any public comments at this time?
I do not see any.
Okay. Before we go to the presentation and public hearing, at the May 8th board meeting, we, the board, forgot to congratulate our township manager, Amy Fergus, for her one-year anniversary with Patton Township. We have a small token of the board's appreciation for all of your hard work and for us to say thank you, Amy, as our Patton Township manager. So, without further ado, Amy, this is from the board.
Thank you.
Congratulations on 1 year.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying.
Very much.
Now, I have a special note of appreciation to all who attended the Phase 2 Burnell Road Park opening. Supervisor Betsy Whitman, Township Manager Pat Pratt, past and present Doug Arison and Amy Fergus, our Solicitor Betsy Dupree, Police Chief Tyler Jolly, Police Officers Mitch Snyder and our K-9 Grant, Sergeant Brian Schaefer, and a big Patton Township appreciation goes to the Patton Township Recreation Advisory Committee and the landscape architect Chuck Stradowski of YSM for all of their hard work in making this an amazing event memorable to all. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the cycling community who demonstrated the use of the new pump track. Phase 2 Burnell Park offers new and exciting recreation opportunities. Please stop by and enjoy the fitness court, the new dirt pump track, extended walk paths. We have a bicycle repair station and a solar charging station for your cell phones. Thank you for allowing this time to thank all who made the Phase 2 Burnell Park opening such an extraordinary event. Next on our agenda is the presentation and public hearing, introduction of Officer Hunter Brooks, and Chief Jolly, that's you.
That's going to be me, yeah. So, however you just want to stand. So, thank you very much to the board for giving me a few moments here to introduce you to Patton Township Police Department's newest officer. This is Hunter Brooks. Hunter was born and raised in Center County. He is a graduate of Bald Eagle Area High School. After high school, Hunter went to the Municipal Police Academy at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where he graduated from the police training. And then prior to us hiring Hunter, he was with the Lock Haven City Police Department for about a year and a half. So he comes to us with about a year and a half of experience. And currently he is on our field training, the first phase of our field training. He's been with us, hired on April 29th and sworn in on May 2nd. So again, my pleasure to introduce Hunter Brooks to the Board of Supervisors.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
All I can say to you, Hunter, is that we have an extraordinary police department that you're coming into. You have an extraordinary police chief, and our staff and our board are here to welcome you and support you.
Thank you. Thanks, Hunter.
All right, next on the agenda is public safety, the monthly report. Chief, that is you again.
Yep, that's me again. So we had a very busy month in the month of April. In your packet, you'll note that we stopped 260 vehicles for traffic infractions, wrote 24 citations, 7 parking tickets, and handled 13 criminal arrests. Under department notes, there was a 22-year-old male arrested and charged with simple assault and harassment. The male physically assaulted his fiancée during a domestic dispute. A 22-year-old male was arrested for public drunkenness and disorderly conduct. He was passed out on a CATA bus and was found to be heavily intoxicated. 52-year-old male was arrested for public drunkenness. We had officers assigned to the concert up at Beaver Stadium. So our officers came across a male who was having difficulty standing and walking due to his level of intoxication. That male eventually had to be transported to the hospital for more advanced care. 2 arrests were made for retail theft, 1 for minor's law, and 7 for driving under the influence. Our officers successfully served 40 warrants of the 67 that they attempted. That number, I'm sure, looks extremely high compared to the numbers that I normally report, around maybe 10 or so a month. And that's attributed to a warrant night that we did with Ferguson Township Police Department, Magisterial District Judge Casey McLean's office. We organized it amongst those 3 entities. There was also a state constable that assisted. But as a result of that night, it was on April 17th, we closed out 58 cases, 58 open warrants, and collected $4,341.95 in outstanding fines. So it was a very successful night. Thank Judge McLean for keeping his office open after hours for us, because obviously serving warrants sometimes is difficult during the day, so catch people when they come home to get traffic and minor infraction warrants taken care of. So it was a very good detail. And then we also conducted 15 vacation home checks. We did not have to use force during any incidents in the month of April. Under community relations, our officers performed various walkthroughs at the Nittany Valley Sports Center for a bunch of different activities. There's always all kinds of athletic events going on there, so we like to show the colors and show the presence for the police department. Our officers did drive through the parks and spoke with residents during the solar eclipse, so a lot of people were out and about, so our officers were as well and engaging the community. Officer Snyder and K-9 Graff did a demo and meet and greet right outside for local government week prior to our previous township meeting. Officer Vardzell and Officer Sunderland attended a child safety seat check and installation event at Target. Detective Soleil participated in a Camp Cadet recruitment event at Park Forest Middle School, which we'll have a photo of that here in just a moment. Officer Vardzell participated in a child safety installation event also at with the Center County Children and Youth Services at the YMCA. Sergeant Albright participated in a drug take-back event at Wegmans where 15 pounds of unwanted and unused medications were collected. And Officer Sunderland installed a child safety seat for a township resident. Under department training and activities, the officers attended tactical response team training. Officer Snyder and K-9 Graff completed their required 2 days of training for the month. Graff was also called out by the Pennsylvania State Police to assist on a traffic stop. Graff went around the vehicle that they had reasonable suspicion to believe there was drugs inside, and he alerted on the vehicle. The vehicle subsequently was searched, and 4 grams of methamphetamine were located inside. So he did a fantastic job on that incident. So, Detective Salade attended new detective training. If you recall, she was promoted at the beginning of this year, so we're trying to get her to as much training as possible to get her as well trained as we can have for criminal investigations. All of our officers completed our required, MOPEC required firearms qualifications with all department-owned weapons. Officer Finocchio and Officer Kaufman attended a Pennsylvania Narcotics Officers Association annual conference. And I plugged this one in here because this was a very interesting call dealing with some federal partners of ours. But Officer Varzel conducted a plainclothes detail, teaming up with loss prevention at a township store in a more of a proactive effort to curb retail theft. One stop was made, which we were kind of hoping for more numbers, but the stop, as you'll see here in just one moment, was a very impressive one. Turns out that the individual we stopped was wanted in Argentina. And the International Criminal Police Organization, or otherwise known as Interpol, had issued a warrant for him. So the individual had previously been deported from the U.S., and he had been flagged for removal as he was considered a violent felon. But Officer Varzel worked with the Department of Justice, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and Interpol to deport the individual. He was deported back to Argentina, where he is currently now answering to armed robbery charges, and the reason why he had the warrant filed there. We just met Hunter Brooks, our new officer, and then I attended a humane officer meeting, the Center County Chiefs meeting, Center County Emergency Services meeting, a radio reprogramming meeting, a radio advisory committee meeting, and then demonstrations by Motorola and Kenwood as we consider possibly replacing our portable radios, which are getting close to the end of life for those. Police work, I'll tell you what, it throws you a curveball and you never know what you're going to get, but we did get a nice letter from a person who works at a business in the township for Officer Michael Kaufman, responding and saving 11 ducklings from a storm grate at the store. So the mother duck was very, very upset, and she was somewhat hesitant to let Officer Kaufman help. However, he did, and in fact, we scroll down the next, there's a photo, a little bit grainy, but it shows Officer Kaufman down in the storm grate with one of those ducklings in his hands as he's rescuing one of the 11. Happy to report that all 11 were safely removed. Sadly, well not sadly, but literally about 12 hours later or a day later, we were dealing with the same thing. They got into another storm grate right in the same area. So, but we eventually got them rescued from that one as well. So, but an interesting call we had there. We've talked a lot about how our agency is accredited with the Pennsylvania Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission. Happy to report, and I think we already did talk, that we were recommended for reaccreditation, and on April 25th, the Pennsylvania Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission voted to reaccredit our agency. Just as a reminder, we were initially accredited in 2012, so once we get to the next time we go for a reassessment, which is every 3 years, we will be reaching what's called premier status, so that we've been accredited for 5 cycles. And at that point, we'll only have to show one proof of compliance because the commission believes that we have a really good handle on things and are in compliance with all of the standards that they have in the state. So fantastic, really great accomplishment for the department. I'm very proud of the agency, as they mentioned in here. The biggest share of kudos and line share of the work goes to Sergeant Albright, who is our accreditation manager. We have a photo. The letter that we received was from the accreditation program coordinator, Mr. Jim Adams. It's him in the middle, presenting our certificate of accreditation to Sergeant Albright on the left and myself on the right. So, as promised, there's a photo of Detective Salade at the recruitment event at Park Forest Middle School. Again, that was recruiting for Camp Cadet. From what we're hearing, the numbers are already up in, I think, over 60 for both boys and girls, so they're going to have a very, very full camp, but it's great to see that we have those high numbers of kids interested in attending Camp Cadet, so it's a great, great program. So Chair Rob at the last meeting, I believe it was, mentioned this article, but I thought it was good to include it in here just so that everybody got a chance, the opportunity to actually read it and to see the photos up close and personal. Again, our agency in Patton Township was recognized in the PA Township News magazine, and interesting stories about member townships, and it was about our officer recognition that we did earlier this year. So it was a really nice article. I just wanted to make sure everybody had an opportunity to really see it. So, and then we have a couple photos of our new officer, Hunter Brooks, being sworn in by Judge McLean, and just a picture of Hunter, myself, and Manager Farkas. And then lastly, I have my record list of calls for service. Again, we were pretty busy, so we had 565 calls. That's up from the 446 that we handled in March. 84 of those were school checks, 68 were health and safety EMS assists, and 61 were traffic related. So that is the end of my report.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank your officers, and kudos to you, Chief, for our accreditation, keeping that up. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is noise waiver request, Ashcraft Farms. Amy, I think this is you.
Yes, that is me. So the owners of the Ashcraft Farm are planning to hold an American Historic Racing Motorcycle Association event at their farm June 21st through the 23rd. The event has been held for the last 5 years. The Ashcrafts are applying for a noise waiver for the event. They have notified the neighbors in the adjacent area, and we have not received any noise complaints about this event in the past. So if you're inclined, you would want to grant the noise waiver for the event.
Okay, does any board member have any questions regarding this? Supervisor?
I'll move that we go along with that.
Okay, and you have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion to approve the noise waiver for the Armar event at Ashcraft Farm from June 21st to June 23rd has passed. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the Public Works operation, the spongy moss spraying update. And that is with our Public Works Director, Ken Soder. Ken?
Right. So on Monday morning, we did have the completion of our spongy moss spray program. We sprayed 587 acres. Whenever we actually started, we started out with approximately 1,300 acres, but due to people opting out, that took out a large percentage of the area, so that brought us back down to close to 600 acres. A lot of individuals, we're still fielding a lot of calls. A lot of individuals are calling, and probably we're pretty sure what they're calling about. The way we can gauge where we're going to be spraying is we look at egg masses in the fall and winter of last year, and those areas that have an egg mass count that rises to a certain level, it's a recommendation then that we have a treatment. But spongy moss, the way they can transport themselves, whenever the larvae hatch, they'll extend a small silk strand and they can catch the wind and they can be blown to locations. So areas that didn't have any egg masses potentially can have the spongy moth, and they can become an issue in those areas. So we're kind of a year behind catching up with them, because there really is no way that we are able to be able to react that fast to keep up with wherever they're blown into. So one thing I would say to folks, if they do have an infestation at this point in time and it wasn't treated, make sure that let us know, so that whenever we do a count late this fall or early winter, we can look at those areas and see if there's a potential need for treatment. Amy was saying about maybe having a little bit more of a workshop at some point in time to let some people know, because even though we do have a very large amount of information on our website, I don't know if it was utilized as well as we'd like to have been, because the material we're using is fairly safe and it's been utilized for quite some time. It's been utilized in the agricultural field for years, and it's utilized on fruits and vegetable crops. So Just wanted to put that out there so that maybe, next year, somebody that was thinking about potentially opting out, they might reconsider that, because that does affect a large area, because we have to actually provide a 500-foot buffer. So if one home decides that they want to opt out, there's actually over a 1,000-foot circle that area is affected.
Thank you. Any board member have, Supervisor Whitman?
Yeah, just a suggestion that maybe in subsequent years leading up to this event, I like the idea of having a workshop. Is there any chance we could get one of those electronic signs or have Kish Bank put something up? That would really catch the eye of the public, even more so than an email or
Yeah,
blast.
we could certainly try that. I think what we're seeing is, we did send a fair bit of communication. We started last year with a survey, and we sent letters and a
I remember that,
postcard.
yeah.
And I think some people just sort of tuned things out
Yep.
and didn't notice what was going on. And then we're really at the mercy of the weather as to when they spray. We sprayed probably a week later than we did last year, and it's because we've been getting so much rain. My only concern with an electronic billboard or a sign of some sort is that people will then think, and we're having this issue with No Mow May in the borough, people think that we're doing No Mow May
Right.
because they hear State College. And I understand some folks in the other municipalities think they're getting sprayed even though they're not in Patton or Ferguson. So that would be my only concern, is that folks would misunderstand. And we also typically aren't spraying the entire township. We're targeting the areas that have the most egg masses. So I think there are some things we can look at. We have all the information on our website. I just think a lot of people weren't going to the website to get the information. And the BTK is a bacterial, it's not, a chemical, so I think we need to do a little more information educating folks on that as well.
Can we also look into maybe flyers to go out to the businesses like Walmart, Wegmans, or our major hubs, just to say maybe information on spongy moth, I know if we approach some of our businesses, we might be able to get a little more traction in getting that word out.
And as I said too, I think some of the folks probably weren't as concerned, and then whenever they were blown into the area, they realized what kind of an issue they can cause. So, and as I said, we really are at the mercy of the weather and trying to play catch up each year whenever we do that.
Well, maybe in the fall, we can have a little, I know somebody did this, where they told them what the egg masses look like, and they all went in and scraped some off, and if we have some, just even if it's 600 eggs in an egg mass.
Right.
If people, I know I did a lot
Right.
in my yard, but I still got them, because some of them were too high for me to reach. So maybe some education on that.
Yeah, that might be something we can partner with maybe Joe Wilson or somebody in town to do that. Or maybe we could even do it outside at the Haw Tract or somewhere where we know we have some egg masses that he can pull and we can show people. I think there's just an education piece that is
Yeah.
kind of missing that we need to continue to work on.
Even, just going back to the electronic board, something like Patton, Spongy Moth Workshop, and then a date. And at least it will get people's attention in the way that a flyer or an email won't.
Well, and also depending on where we do it, if we could have CNET cover it, and then it's filmed, and then we can share that
Yeah.
video out as well, so people can watch it, and we'll make sure that, Sophie does a great job of putting out the information, it just doesn't sometimes get the traction that you want it to get.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Ken. All right. Down to engineering, planning and zoning, planning commission report, planning commissioner member Bill Burnett.
So Mr. Burnett was unable to attend this evening, he had another meeting to be at, so he asked me to give the report for him.
Oh, okay.
So you will see it in your next item, the Decibel Partners Hotel. The Planning Commission did review that plan. We'll talk about that under the next agenda item. But also Jenna Wargo, who is now our planner from the COG, she and I have been talking about doing education sessions for the Planning Commission. So she did a fantastic presentation that kind of gave them an overview of what their role is, some zoning information. And I think it was a very good session. I know a lot of the planning commission members thanked her at the end for it. So we're going to continue to educate them because I think there's a little bit of a gap with some of their knowledge, and where their, what their role is, what a traffic impact study is, how we do shared use pass, that kind of thing. So we're still working on that, and we'll continue with that. But Jenna has been a welcome addition to our staff over here.
And this was at the May Planning Commission?
Yes.
Is it possible that we can get Jenna to come to one of our board meetings? So we
Yes,
can.
she's going to be integral when we start working on the workforce housing, so you're going to see her quite a bit once that
Okay.
starts. Yep.
All right. Are you taking the next one, Amy?
Yes,
as well?
actually, I'm going to ask Mark Toretti to come up and introduce Decibel Partners since he's the engineer for the plan.
Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Mark Toretti with Pentair Engineering, and I'm here on behalf of Decibel Partners. I'm not sure if you have a plan to show them, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for a lot of you who've been around for a while, this was one of the phases of the Nittany Valley Sports Center Plan, Airport District Master Plan. As you look, half of that's already built out, and we're finally getting into the second phase, most of the second phase of that. And I'm going to get it caught up here. And this is actually starting off with Phase 2C. And the master plan, when that was created, it was kind of a pretty picture, what we think is going to occur, what may occur. And for a good part of it, it is transformed into close to what the master plan, it was almost like a concept sketch plan, was. And this is part of it that on the original master plan, Phase 2C, which is the closest off of Fox Hill Road to the adjacent property, there was a hotel plan there in the master plan. And now we got into working with the Pacific Hotel developer, and with what they're looking to proposing, the layout is slightly a little bit different, but the use is the same. And what this is, it's a 96-room long-term stay hotel that is in this area right off of Fox Hill Road. And I'll take this here. It's easier to stand away and point with it. And the thing is with this is really the first development in this part of Phase 2. Part of Phase 2 was the, now it's called Kingston Village duplexes. I think it came in as AeroPoint duplexes originally, but this is the remaining portion of it. And whenever the widening and improvements were done for Fox Hill Road intersection with Burnell, also was put in was two entrances were installed at that time, one off of Burnell with full access, and then a right in, right out off of Fox Hill Road. And that's where it is today. And so really to develop this first property, we have to go through and install quite a bit of infrastructure, roadway and sanitary sewer mostly on this project. Since this is only a right in and right out at this point in time, for access for people coming from State College, they need a way in, so we really have to build the access down to the Burnell Road and build this road that was shown on the master plan, this private road on the master plan, and so they can have full access in. And there we go, from that end. And also, sanitary sewer-wise, the sanitary sewer is down in this area, so we got to run it the whole way on up to the hotel, which for the future phases, this will make the future phases a lot easier with having that part of the infrastructure in. It's just a big chunk at the first part of this Phase 2 area on it. So, like I said, we're proposing a 96-room long-term stay hotel. Along with it, we have 112 parking spaces. You have access in off of Fox Hill, access in off of Burnell, and then there is a front drop-off area, ADA parking, and some other parking in the front, with the majority of the parking in the back. But we have access from both sides to get around to the back of the parking, and also the refuse and dumpster enclosure is back in that area of the site. We also, at this point in time, have sidewalk connections coming in off of Fox Hill Road, and we have it into the site and also up along this part of the entrance drive on the bottom side of that entrance drive. And on the master plan, what we've shown also, on the master plan has shown sidewalks along this private internal road. And whenever each phase is developed, those sidewalk connections will be made then, because we don't know what's going to be going there, how it may change, where sidewalks may be needed, where they may not. But so with each phase of that, we wanted to get it, in front of that use, which we're doing here. And then the other thing we're showing is a sidewalk connection all along the frontage of Fox Hill Road. It goes down and then curves and goes down along Burnell Road, and will tie into the sidewalk that's there proposed for Kingston Village at that property. And that's where I think some of the discussion was with the Planning Commission meeting. We were talking about maybe a shared use path or items like that. And I think Amy coordinated with her and Jenna they checked with the county on some grant funding, and that really isn't available right at this point in time. And then Jenna, I think, has in your report about doesn't think at this point in time it'd be better just to get an easement for maybe a future shared use path. And so we've looked at that, and physically, along the front there, whenever we relocated Fox Hill Road, we had to move 6 overhead utility poles, and they are back there, which if you give you a 20-foot easement, just want to be aware that those poles will be within maybe 5 feet of that easement, and you'd have to work around them maybe in the future. But that's no problem along Fox Hill Road, providing you an easement along that. Burnell Road, it's tighter. We're looking, because of there's 2 proposed stormwater basins, and then there's an existing swale down here. It's very tight, where we have a proposed sidewalk, and then we have like 3 feet off the sidewalk, and then it drops off. So, we could probably give you like maybe a 10-foot easement, 8-foot easement here, which would deal with that, and then maybe add on to that a temporary construction easement, just in case in the future between those areas, using part of the right-of-way from the road and getting a shared use path in the future, giving you at least a good flat area of what we have available, and then anything beyond that even, still try to give a temporary construction easement beyond that area too. So if something does happen, that the area is available, and to have access and to work in that area to install those. So that's what we're looking at, and just wanted to make you aware about just our concerns, and just be aware that those poles would be the 20-foot easement along that area. So stormwater-wise, we have 2 new stormwater basins. They pretty much match the master plan as far as area goes, where we were looking at having them. One right at the corner of Burnell Road and Fox Hill Road, and one further on down Burnell. And then those are sized big enough for the hotel, and also for this corner property. So when this corner property is developed, we'll have the stormwater addressed for that, which will make that site a little bit easier to develop on there. And then there's an existing basin at Kingston Village that has been used for a sediment basin. We knew that there's going to be some work coming up in this area for construction, and then after this is constructed and this phase of development is constructed, that'll be converted to a regular stormwater basin, because right now it's sitting there basically just catching sediment. It isn't the best looking thing, but once this phase and this is built and these basins are built, that will be converted just to a normal basin then. That's a brief overview. If you have any questions or comments.
Okay. Any supervisor have any questions at this time? Supervisor Whitman?
The right in, right out.
Yeah.
It seems that that could be problematic. I'm thinking of the traffic patterns. This is close to the airport.
Yeah,
I'm imagining people would want to come out of the hotel and turn left, go to the airport. Now, I realize it looks like they could also go down that road.
yeah,
So you'd have to have signage.
yeah,
But we've had recent experience with a fast food franchise here.
yeah,
And those, no turn
yeah,
signages were basically ignored.
yeah,
We had to have police there until we made some
Yeah.
substantial changes.
yeah,
And then also, I think, people coming from State College.
yeah.
If they're using this as a base, at State College,
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to turn. They'll have to, again, go all the way around.
Yeah, that's going to have to be some good signage whenever we work more closely with the hotel, some directional signage on their end. The other thing that I didn't mention is, I think Amy and the township engineer kind of helped coordinate a meeting with, and actually, we weren't able to make it, my client's been out of town, with the developer, or who's looking at the Cradle property. And between some interest of making some interconnections somewhere that would tie those properties together. And like I said, that would also, if a solution is agreed upon, that would give us maybe access before the hotel, a full access, or some way around that. So we see from our end of it, we understand that right in, right out, whenever that was originally installed, and knowing the limits of the area we had to work with in here, that was something we knew was going to be an issue on it. So, I think we are interested in talking to that developer and look at some options that maybe give them additional access before here, if the Cradle tract develops, that'll maybe give them full access in prior to that, make it a little bit easier. So we are aware of that. We are stuck with this right in, right out that's already been in there, been installed, and basically because of there's not enough room to install a turn lane down along Fox Hill Road there. So that was the reasoning for that. But I think between that and some good directional signage is what we're going to have to do, and hopefully we can get something worked out with the Cradle tract developer.
Can you point out, I didn't understand that.
Cradle's above this property.
Above it.
Yeah, it's the one that has like a little 50-foot right-of-way
Okay.
access, then it goes way on down to Timberton. It's very long near, I think, they were in here maybe 6 months ago giving you a sketch plan. And,
Yeah, and the whole idea is they're working on their traffic impact study right now, and Rob Watts brought up, maybe we should talk about this connection.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting about it, and I think they're very amenable to looking at it. The
Yeah.
Cradle property is very large, it's 147 acres, I believe, and so they're looking at possibly needing a traffic signal or some kind of improvement like that. So if these were connected, that would sort of centralize some of that traffic improvement and make it easier to access both properties.
Yeah.
These are both state roads too, which is also the sort of complicating factor, which is the same complicating factor we have with the fast food establishment in town as well, because that's also
Yeah.
off of a state road. So
Yeah.
trying to hopefully do some planning,
Yeah.
and I know we can't force the developers to talk and do this, but
Yeah.
both sides were amenable to talking, and we
Yeah.
recorded the meeting we had last week and sent it
It
over.
was, yeah, and I says, I'll be getting in contact with you again I liked whenever Chris gets back into town, get a meeting set up and talk to them about some ideas, so. But that's something, like from our end of it, we still want to have this property, go as is, and then we'll see, because I don't know how far behind the Cradle tract is, but that's something we still want to look at, but in the meantime, we know that right in, right out isn't the most ideal thing there, and it's something I think ultimately as more spaces get developed here, I think it'll tend itself to help get more access, people going down Burnell Road further on that.
So basically, you're saying we don't have a choice in this?
No.
There are laws.
Yeah, the state of Pennsylvania, I'm understanding
Yeah.
that this was obviously before I was here, but when they redid the configuration of Burnell and Fox Hill, they made the right in, right out. There's already the pork chops that are there, so you can see you don't have
Yeah.
a choice. So PennDOT sort of dictated that. They took some right-of-way away from this
Yeah.
property as well. So Yeah, that's one thing we don't, but we can try to come at it from a different way, which is what
Yeah.
we're trying to do.
Okay.
from the other side.
Yeah,
With signage?
yes,
Okay, okay.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
So-
you.
I won't say I told you so, but
I
probably
know,
everybody
yeah.
else can
I
say
know.
that too. Okay.
Well, I know,
All right.
hopefully, this shouldn't have the amount of traffic
Yeah.
as that fast food restaurant too, but I know I live in College Township. There's Sheets there that has a right-in, right-out that's notorious. I know, I understand that. It's, so,
That's you. You're right.
Yeah,
For now.
it is what it is.
All right.
I won't say I'm all right.
yeah.
I understand.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other supervisor have a question? Since it's only the beginning, the question I have, you said you have 112 parking.
Yeah.
Have we talked about how many are for handicap accessibility?
Yeah, I don't have the exact number, but if you zoom in, the required amount are out in front there for ADA accessibility. And then we also have, there's bicycle parking, that's in this back area here, which back near the parking lot. And then we also have, I think, 6 or 8 interior bicycle parking spaces also. So between the ADA and the bike parking, we have all those covered, meeting the requirements.
Okay. Well, any other questions? I see this is a,
Yeah, just,
Betsy?
just following on the bike parking. Do
Yeah.
you have bike racks?
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, there's one in the back, and then also for inside the building, there's a kind of bike storage rack
I like it.
for the interior.
Thank you.
okay. So I know this is one we have to vote on. So can I get a motion?
So I just have one, I thought we maybe
Okay.
were, I have one other question, sorry about
Oh.
that. Do you, and I apologize, I haven't
That's
gone
all
through
right.
this entire plan. I'm wondering about a list of plants. Are you at that stage yet, and is that included in here? And I-
Yeah, there's a landscape plan that should be in the packet there, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I apologize.
Okay, that's all right, yeah.
That's my bad. My stick is then at this point to mention native plants.
Yeah, and the borough, or the township arborist has reviewed this also and made recommendations on
And I
plants,
think
yes.
that, did the
Lance King
Lance-
review.
yeah.
Lance King?
Yeah.
look at it? Okay, my bad for not looking at it.
Yeah.
Great. I think that
Okay.
happened before.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, what's on the table? Can I get a motion to approve the Decibel Partner Hotel Final Land Development Plan contingent upon satisfaction of all staff comments?
No, I'll move it unless Elliot.
Second.
All right, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The motion is approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Pam, I'm not sure if Fedor had a comment.
Oh,
He unmuted himself. Fedor, do you have a comment?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me clearly?
now, yes.
Okay, hi. Yeah, I am Fedor Snev, a resident of Patton Township here in Park Forest Village. I just had a question. So I was looking at the plan, and it seemed like, you know, this might generate quite a few car traffic, and I'm just thinking, what have we done to accommodate pedestrian and cyclist safety here? I heard there's an easement, that there might be a possible easement for some shared use path.
Yes, a couple things right now, we talked about with the bicycle or shared use path, again, easements for those. And also, I think with the Fox Hill Road and Burnell were widened, basically, I think a client in Patton Township did an improvement project in that back around 3-4 years ago that has some shoulders on it for bicyclists right now on that end of it. more of up-to-date PennDOT wide shoulders for that. And then we have sidewalk basically along Foxhill Road and along Burnell Road. When this is built, pretty much there'll be a connection sidewalk-wise from where this project ends at Foxhill Road all the way down to the Burnell intersection, and then down to the Action for Autism property, which is almost across from the Burnell Road Park. So, and that's all been through this Nittany Valley Sports Center master plan that we've been, working on. So little by little, things are getting built, and you're getting the sidewalks all along that area, along the roadway of both those streets there.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, bye.
All right. Next on the agenda is administration, and first is rescinding the local planning withdrawal notice. Amy, I think this is you.
Yes, that's me. So last December, we did approve an ordinance to 2023-632 that notified the Center Region COG of our intent to withdraw from the local planning program. And if you remember, when we did that, that was because the CRPA at the time was having a significant staffing challenge, and we in fact didn't have a planner. We were sort of relying on Ferguson Township to help us, and then the planning director, Mike Tilka, came in. We also lowered our planning commitment from 2024 from 50% to 40%. So I'm really happy because I believe firmly in the local planning program and that the work they've done for us, but I'm really happy that our CRPA planning director, Mike Tilka, has stepped up to the plate and gone after the best and the brightest he could find to come to work for his agency. And we have Jenna Wargo now as the principal planner who's been assigned to us. He's also hired a new local planner who they're coaching up into that position as well to help with plan reviews. So at this point in time, the staffing needs are addressed and our needs are being addressed. So I would like to recommend to the board that in June you rescind that ordinance. You have to pass another ordinance to do that, so that we stay in the local planning program for 25. I don't necessarily think we should decide on the percentage of planning yet. I don't think it would be less than 40%, but they're working on the funding formula. There's been some discussion, Pam's aware of that, on that. And I also just kind of want to see what we have on the docket for Patton Township and things that, we're hoping to get done and kind of gauge how much time we need based on that, so it's a realistic number, and work that through the budget. So Mr. Tilka is here, and I can't say enough good things about Mike. I say all the good things to Mike when I see him too, but I want to publicly say it. Mike's been amazing since he's been here. So if you have any questions of Mr. Tilka, he's here. If you have any questions of me, but if not, I would really like you to consider setting the public hearing for that ordinance for next month.
Okay, I see my colleague Supervisor Abrams.
Yes, I wanted to start that right off by saying, make a motion to start the hearing process so that we can rescind this.
Okay, motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion to rescind the local planning withdrawal notice has now passed and looking to move forward for adoption, public hearing, and adoption on June 12th meeting. All right. And I also would like to thank Mike for his hard work in coming in and changing the whole culture of planning and doing wonderful things. So thank you from us to you. All right. Next on the agenda is the Mid-State Literacy Council Spelling Bee contributions. Amy, I think you're up.
Yeah, so the Mid-State Literacy Council reached out to see if we would be interested in contributing to their 25th annual Spelling Bee, which is actually the name of a musical, sorry. The bee will be held on September 25th. We contributed several years ago. The former township manager and the former finance director actually participated in the bee itself. I'm not a good speller, so I will not be participating. So I provided you with the sponsorship information. The lowest level we can contribute at is $500. And for those that don't know, the Spelling Bee supports supports all of the wonderful programs that the Mid-State Literacy Council does. They have a lot of programs to help adults that are learning to read, so it's not just contributing
Right.
to an event.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Amy from the board? If not, can I get a motion to sponsor the Mid-Literacy Council Spelling Bee?
I would like to make that motion. I've worked with that group, and my daughter has. It's a phenomenal group.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed and any abstentions? The motion passes to approve sponsoring the Mid-State Literacy Council Spelling Bee. Thank you, Amy, for bringing that up. All right, next on the agenda is contributions to Juneteenth celebration. Amy, I think you're up on it again.
So last year, we contributed $250 to the Juneteenth celebrations in downtown State College. This year, they'll be having celebrations on June 14th and 15th, which the biggest one is the block party from 12 to 6 on the 15th.
Right.
So if you're so inclined, we would probably like to make another contribution this year.
All right.
Thank you.
Any comments before we vote? I do know last year it was well attended by our board and staff members. In fact, it was good to see Dan Torino and Betsy and myself and even Doug showed up, and we have photographs to show the event. So with further ado, can I get a motion to donate funds to the Juneteenth celebration?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes to donate to funds to the Juneteenth celebration. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items that the board would like to change or remove from the consent agenda at this time? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll move.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The consent agenda is passed. Moving right along, next on the agenda is the manager's report, and Amy, you are up.
I'm up. Just a couple of things to touch on. Number one, Kat is going to be at your next meeting to talk about the budget and the local match share for next year. We did receive word that Benner Township has decided to leave July 1, 2025, and now Bellefonte has decided to leave July 1, 2025. So if that actually goes through and Benner and Bellefonte both leave, the CATA bus will not run to Bellefonte because we don't have a way to service out there if we don't have a member or a contracted person out there. So that's a significant discussion because that means our residents won't be able to ride the CATA bus or CATA Go to Bellefonte. So that's a tricky situation that needs a good solution, and I'm not sure what the good solution is. So I know that Dave Rischel and the CATA staff is working on that, and they can update you more when we see them next month. And then just one other last thing, we are working on finding people for the Open Space Stewardship Committee. We need one person, and then we have some spots on the Planning Commission. So if you know some folks that are interested, please send them our way. And I want to give a public kudos to Ken Soder. The Public Works Department has been extremely busy, and then on top of all of that, Ken has been taking all the phone calls about spongy moth, and I very much appreciate everything that he has done the last few days. I know it has not been the most fun.
And I also would like to kudos Casey,
Yes.
being on the front desk getting the complaints. So thank Casey for us as well. All right, Amy, is that it?
I'll answer any questions you might have.
There's one thing that's in Amy's report that I wanted to bring out and just point out to you folks. There were some questions about whenever we installed cameras in some of our vehicles and so forth. Just wanted to point out to you that we actually did have a vehicle accident, and that truck actually has a camera in it. And it was ironic, the truck actually left the scene after the accident, so we couldn't locate it, but one of the officers was able to locate the vehicle at one of the convenience stores, and the individual in that vehicle claimed that our truck was across the center line and caused the accident. we were able to go back in, pull information off of the camera and show that our operator actually did an excellent job, was in the lane, but there was nowhere for him to go.
Okay.
And the vehicle actually struck our vehicle, and you could see that it was clearly over the double yellow line.
Okay.
So, just to let you know that actually, it saved one thing, we have an operator that had backed up his story, and we have a vehicle now that will be repaired at their insurance cost. And it also, with the road crew and so forth, it makes them realize that the value that's there for them, and it's not Big Brother watching over their shoulder all the time, it's actually a little bit of protection for them as well.
Ken, how many cameras do we have in our trucks?
10.
There are 10 trucks
We
with
have-
cameras?
Yeah, we have 8 dump trucks with cameras and 2 leaf trucks with cameras. We have other trucks that would be nice to have those, but right now, that's what we have. Our contract is with 10 units in 10 vehicles.
Okay. Thank you for that update. The next on the agenda is the committee reports. I see Amy was able to give you mine for the public safety. Is any other committee reports? Anyone that wants to add to their report? The only thing for my report that I want to continue to reiterate to our community is the slow down and move over as we go into our holiday. Please take time. If you see an accident, please slow down. Move over if you can, but please reduce your speed. We ask that for our police, our state police. We ask that for our EMS, our fire, our truck drivers, tow truck drivers, so they can go home to their families. I keep reiterating that because of the 3 construction workers that were killed in April, and people are still talking about it. So we want each and every one of our constituents to be safe during the holiday and safe all year round. So thank you on that. Next on the
Can I
agenda.
just,
Supervisor.
since we're on the subject of moving over, I'd like to iterate that cars need to move over for bicycles, 4 feet.
Okay,
So,
and thank you on that.
we got a lot of bikers around, bicyclers here.
Okay, thank you on that. Supervisor Abrams.
Would it be, maybe they already do this, but the various people that do driving instruction, do they get information about this so that they teach the people that are becoming new drivers about this problem? Or is that just left to chance?
Chief, do you know maybe?
Well, my daughter just went through that at Belfont High School. I will ask her, because I don't know for sure if it was something that was discussed or not. It is something very important, so I would almost have to imagine that they discuss, if you come up to an emergency vehicle or a crash scene or something like that, to be sure to slow down and to provide plenty of ample room. I can't say with 100% certainty, but I would imagine it's probably something that was discussed.
I know at one time they said as soon as you saw the lights, to slow down, or actually in certain states, you have to pull over and stop, and that emergency vehicle go past, regardless whether it's fire, EMS, stop, or you will be fined. So I know moving forward, we just want to keep that out in our public, so please just slow down and move over if you can. But if you can't, just slow down. All right, next on the agenda, other business, and if there's no other business, I would like to go into the executive session, and we will recess and go into the executive session.